For decades, intelligence agencies studied weapons, surveillance, and psychological warfare. But hidden within declassified documents is something far stranger. Experiments that had nothing to do with missiles or machines. Experiments designed to test the limits of the human mind itself. In the 1970s, the United States Central Intelligence Agency quietly funded a series of studies that questioned one of our most basic assumptions: that consciousness is confined to the brain. What they discovered challenged that belief entirely. According to these documents, the human mind may not be local at all. During the Cold War, fear extended beyond physical weapons. Intelligence agencies worried about psychological advantage. Could the human mind be trained to perceive information beyond the senses? Could it access locations, events, or data without physical presence? These questions led to classified research programs exploring consciousness itself. What began as fringe curiosity soon became official investigation. The CIA partnered with scientists, physicists, and psychologists to explore whether awareness could exist independently of space and time. One of the most well-documented projects involved what was called remote viewing. Participants were asked to describe distant locations they had never seen, sometimes thousands of miles away. No maps, no coordinates, no prior knowledge, just mental focus. The results shocked researchers, not because of occasional success, but because of consistency. Certain participants repeatedly described accurate details, structures, terrain, even activities occurring in real time. These were not isolated incidents. They were patterns. To eliminate chance, the experiments were tightly controlled. Double-blind protocols were used. Targets were selected randomly. Observers were separated from participants. Yet accuracy persisted. Reports matched satellite imagery and classified reconnaissance data with disturbing precision. The implication was unsettling. Information was being accessed without physical signals. No transmission. No sensory input. If these results were genuine, then consciousness was not confined to the brain. It functioned independently of location. One internal CIA report described consciousness as something more like a field than a function, not generated by the brain, but accessed through it. The brain acted as a receiver, not the source. This aligned with interpretations in quantum physics, where particles influence each other across distance. The report suggested that the human mind might operate similarly, capable of connecting to information beyond space and time. The most famous analysis of these experiments came in a document later known as the Gateway Process Report. It attempted to explain consciousness using physics, frequency, and resonance. According to the report, focused mental states could allow awareness to move beyond physical constraints. Time, space, and distance were not absolute barriers. They were constructs perceived by the mind. With training, those constructs could be bypassed. This was not presented as mysticism. It was framed as applied science, and that framing made the findings impossible to ignore. Despite promising results, the program faced resistance. Many within the intelligence community dismissed the findings as unreliable or dangerous. The idea that the mind was not local threatened established scientific and philosophical frameworks. It also raised ethical concerns. If consciousness could access information freely, what did that mean for privacy, control, and authority? The program was gradually reduced, then officially terminated. Publicly, it was described as inconclusive, but internally documents tell a different story. Research stopped not because it failed, but because its implications were too disruptive. After declassification, independent researchers reviewed the data. Some dismissed it. Others were disturbed by its consistency. Statistical anomalies appeared repeatedly. Accuracy beyond chance. Modern neuroscience still struggles to explain these results fully. Meanwhile, quantum researchers continue to debate non-locality as a fundamental property of reality. If consciousness is not local, then the brain does not create awareness. It tunes into it. This idea has appeared throughout history in different forms. Ancient philosophies, mystical traditions, even early physics theories. The CIA experiments did not invent this concept. They tested it, and the results suggested that the mind may operate beyond physical boundaries. That awareness is not trapped inside the skull. Today, the experiments remain controversial, officially dismissed, yet never fully debunked. The data exists. The documents are real. The conclusions remain unsettling. Intelligence agencies rarely invest years into projects with no value. The fact that these experiments continued for decades suggests something was happening, something measurable, something repeatable. The CIA did not announce a breakthrough. They did not publish headlines. They simply closed the program and moved on, or appeared to. What happens to knowledge that is too disruptive? Often, it is buried, filed away, forgotten by design. But ideas have a way of resurfacing, especially when they challenge fundamental assumptions. The CIA experiment did not prove that humans have supernatural abilities. It suggested something more subtle and more unsettling. That consciousness itself may not belong to the body. That awareness may exist beyond physical boundaries. And if that is true, then reality is far more interconnected than we assume. The human mind may not be local at all, and like all powerful knowledge, it leaves us with a final question. Not whether we can explore it, but whether we should. What troubled intelligence officials most was not whether the experiments worked, but what success would imply. If consciousness could access information beyond physical space, then traditional boundaries no longer applied. Intelligence gathering would no longer be limited by satellites, intercepts, or human assets. But neither would control. Several internal discussions raised concerns that such capabilities could not be contained. If a small number of trained individuals could perceive information remotely, then others could potentially do the same. The question was no longer whether the mind could operate beyond the brain, but whether society was prepared for the consequences. This is where the program quietly lost support. Not because it failed, but because it worked too well. One recurring concern involved predictability. The results depended heavily on mental states that were difficult to standardize. Consciousness did not behave like a machine. It could not be switched on and off reliably. This made the findings difficult to weaponize, but also difficult to dismiss. Another issue was philosophical. If consciousness was not local, then identity itself was not fixed. The individual was not a closed system. Awareness extended beyond the body, connecting to something larger. This directly conflicted with materialist models that underpinned much of modern science and governance. Such implications were destabilizing. Documents suggest that rather than confronting these questions publicly, the safer option was silence. Funding was reduced. Programs were reclassified. Research was fragmented and dispersed. What could not be controlled was buried. But the ideas did not disappear. In the years that followed, similar concepts began appearing in civilian research. Neuroscientists explored consciousness as an emergent property rather than a product. Physicists debated non-locality as a fundamental feature of reality. Philosophers revisited ancient ideas once dismissed as unscientific. The language changed, but the question remained the same. Is consciousness confined to the brain, or does the brain access consciousness? Modern experiments continue to probe this question, often unknowingly retracing the same ground. Brain-computer interfaces, meditation research, and altered state studies all touch the edges of what the CIA explored decades ago. But now the research is fragmented, decentralized, and less threatening to centralized authority. Yet the implications remain profound. If consciousness is non-local, then human potential is not limited to biology. Perception is not confined to the senses, and reality itself may be far more interconnected than it appears. This does not mean humans possess supernatural powers. It means our understanding of consciousness is incomplete, and incomplete models often lead to false certainty. The CIA experiments did not provide final answers. They opened a door that was quickly closed, not because it led nowhere, but because it led somewhere uncomfortable. The question is no longer whether these experiments happened. They are documented. They are real. The question is why their implications are rarely discussed, and whether humanity is ready to revisit what was once deemed too disruptive to understand. Because if consciousness is not local, then the mind is not confined to the body. And if the mind is not confined to the body, then reality is not as isolated as we believe. The CIA may have been the first to test this seriously, but it will not be the last.